What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Blazers Uprise Live, presented by Sleeper. Today, we're going to have some fun, and we're going to make some bold predictions for the Portland Trail Blazers' upcoming 2025 to 2026 seasons. I have a list of prompts that we're going to go through here. I'm going to get Eric's thoughts. I'm going to give my own thoughts. And of course, I'm going to get Chat's thoughts. We're going to see what Chat thinks. Anyway, hopefully you all had a good weekend. Eric, what's going on, man? How was your weekend?
It was pretty good. Went to the cesspool that is Portland. Very scary night out on the town with the wife, where we saw exactly nothing bad, even though we're kind of searching out, trying to find stuff. Yeah, it was a good weekend. How about you?
Good, man. I'm avoiding making some jokes that I really want to make right now, because this is a basketball podcast. I gotta bite my tongue, I'm just super excited for occupation. All right, that's what I'll say. But yeah, hopefully you guys had a good weekend. It was a fun weekend of football, a fun weekend of baseball, a fun weekend, just a fun weekend all around. So hopefully you guys enjoyed football being back, and if you're not a football fan, hopefully you're enjoying something this type of year. And we do have basketball right around the corner. The Blazers' first preseason game tips off October 9th. It is September 8th, so tomorrow will be officially 1 month away, 30 days away from watching Blazer basketball, from doing Blazer post-game shows. And man, I'm excited for the season. I can't say it enough. I keep saying it. I'm optimistic going into the season. Well, we'll see how optimistic I am, because we're going to make some predictions today. And yeah, it's gonna be a fun ride. I'm so excited. I'm even starting to put together my backdrop. So I got the rose bar back there in the closet. I'm gonna do some other things with the backdrop. So finally decking out the studio. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to the stream, man. I thought, I talk about this every time going into a stream, especially in September. It's like, what can we talk about? And I always like making bold predictions, and I came up with many different prompts. Chat, we'll go through them, and we'll even give you a chance to submit your own prompts, basically as a Q&A, but you'll see how this works here in a second. Yeah. Let me know what you did this weekend in the live chat as well.
Yes.
Eric already with the funny comment in chat says Torrey will defend Portland as long as it isn't compared to Vancouver. That is absolutely correct. I will defend Seattle. I'll defend Northwest. I'll definitely defend Portland. But yeah, man. Anything else you wanna get into before we get the ball rolling here?
Not really. Welcome to starter membership again, Adam.
Welcome to Adam. Thank you, Adam, for becoming a starting level member. I will get into this real quick. Do you believe in spells?
Spells? All right, you're going to talk about that guy who paid like $20 to get it. Well, he got a discount on his spell. Do you believe that awoke the Seattle Mariners, right?
Yeah. I mean, we could. So, shout out to Mubsy and Con and Dune with the donations. There's our funding for the Etsy Witch, Eric. There's our funding for when the Blazers. I don't know. Maybe we should place a spell before the season, but maybe we have to wait until they're cursed with something bad, and then the spell lifts the curse. I don't know exactly how it works. This is a new area to me, but I'll get into what I'm talking about in a second. Shout out to Mubsy with a 14 Canadian dollar donation. Says, I had a great weekend with eyeball emojis. Mubsy, why did you have a great weekend? Thank you for the donation. And shout out to Con and Dune with a $5 donation. Says, been an active supporter for years. Eric's most, okay. Goodbye. Goodbye. Thank you for donating. Out of here. But, yeah, I'll just say this. Anybody that, if you have a problem with Portland Trailblazer podcast hosts saying that Portland doesn't have, it's not falling apart or it's not burning down or, defending Portland against ridiculous, over-exaggerated slander, then maybe you shouldn't watch a Portland Trailblazer podcast. I mean, it's It's a city with its share of problems, just like a lot of cities have their share of problems. But there's good things about the city. There's bad things about the city. We're not going to get into it on this podcast, but my goodness, man, it's funny how to some people it's blasphemous to defend the city at all. It's like, why are you a Blazer fan if you hate Portland that much? That's my question.
I find it funny that the people who scream Constitution constantly think it's a political rant to simply say Portland isn't as bad as people think, and it certainly doesn't deserve an unconstitutional takeover. Yeah, occupation. So I didn't know that was a political rant to uphold the Constitution. But whatever.
You just can't avoid those rants, man. But yeah, you just can't avoid those rants.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry for saying that I'm downtown 5 days a week. Every day last week, because like I said, my wife and I were there.
Yeah. And you're here to speak about it.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Yeah.
I'm amazed.
Actually, like, to be honest, the last about a week or so, I've seen a lot of cleanup crews, a lot of stuff going on. So, yeah, I think that it's never going to be perfect, and I'm not saying it's acceptable to see some of the stuff I see and things like that, but it doesn't warrant the military being used against its own citizens and stuff like that, because we have homeless people and drug use and stuff. Like, that's something that should be able to be dealt with, and unfortunately, it hasn't been dealt with in the best ways or whatever. And I'm not saying we should ignore those problems, but yeah, it's kind of ridiculous that people can't listen to our show anymore because I think our city isn't as bad as people. Yeah. It's not burning down. It's not. Yeah.
I mean, that's just a perfect example of how, we're both pretty outspoken, both on the Blazers and other things. And when you're outspoken, you can never keep anyone happy. So either you have to trash the city, Eric, which a lot of people would have a problem with, or you can defend the city, and there's still going to be people out there that have a problem with that. So yeah, the city isn't as bad as it seems. And I mean, regardless of the way you lean politically, I don't know how you think that bringing in the military is going to solve the homeless problem unless you're just doing terrible things to those people or just relocating them somewhere else. That doesn't really solve anything. So listen, at the end of the day, there's problems with the city. I wish homeless people were given better opportunities, better resources to help them out of their situations. I wish the homeless situation wasn't as much of a problem in Portland. I wish there was no crime. We can all agree on all of this. We're obviously going to disagree on what the best way to fix things in the city are. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. Eric gave his. I think we could just leave it at that.
Sure.
Yeah. That's the best. That's the best. But yeah, follow us on Twitter if you want to see rants about how Portland isn't that bad. Anyway, shout out to Eric for speaking his mind, though. I'll always respect that. Shout out to Chase for thinking that comment was from Muvsy and not Conan, and then correcting himself. Nah, Muvsy's cool, man. Muvsy's my guy. Muvsy would never. Muvsy's Canadian. He's donating Canadian dollars, so yeah.
It wasn't even a rant. What do you? I didn't
I
didn't even rant about anything. Eric. So stupid.
We need basketball back so you can rant about that.
Yeah.
But anyway. Yeah, at least you got $5 for it, right? Like,
sure.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway. Shout out to Muvsy, $7 donation. Canadian haha fox emoji. Shout out to Muvsy. He's becoming our MVP for real. I'm looking forward to the basketball rants though. I'm ready for him again. I'm itching for him. Just hearing that word gives me a tingly feeling. So,
they're going to make me rant.
Yeah. So chat, maybe this year I'll do a little bit more to get Eric ranting than I did last year. Because last year Eric was a pretty chill guy. And we're trying to stay even keeled this year with expectations. I'm gonna get the ball rolling. All right. Eric, what'd you think about Chauncey's out of timeout play call there in the second quarter? All right, it was turnover. That's his fifth turnover after timeout in a row. What do you think about his play calling? That sort of stuff. We'll get him going this year, chat.
Yeah.
He's all quiet now. He won't be later.
Well, no, I mean you said you wanted to move on, so I'm just biting my tongue.
I'm talking about basketball. I don't know what
No,
we're
I
talking
know.
about.
I know.
Anyway. So back to the Etsy witch. I don't know. That's how this conversation started. We're talking about the Etsy witch. But before we get into that, shout out to Hail Blazers for being a member for 38 months. Says bold prediction: Young will be backup center at some point this year. Well, if Robert Williams gets hurt, which I guess we can start off the predictions with that. I mean, there's probably a 90% chance that he's going to miss a week or two at some point with some sort of issue. Young will be the backup center. Now, in terms of just purely outplaying Robert Williams, I don't think he's going to be better than Robert Williams. So it depends on how you want to predict that. Is it because Robert Williams gets hurt, or is it because you think he surpasses Robert Williams? Because the second one is a much bolder take that I respect. I don't know if I agree with it, but that's what this stream is for the bold predictions. And then we get to look back and see who was right.
Yeah, I think it's a bold prediction if you say like he'll succeed as a backup center, like maybe even play well enough, to ease people's mind about him being in that role. But maybe even, if he plays well, there's going to be questions like, oh, is he our long-term center over Klingon? I think that would be a little bit more of a bold take because, like you said, just being the backup center is probably going to happen at some point, whether he deserves it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've already seen we talked about this being one of the reasons why we were a little frustrated with the pick of Young at the time. But I've already seen people say, like, we have to decide Klingon or Young long term. Like, we can't keep them both, and so that probably will be something for a while. And we also know that there were a lot of people that just were completely oblivious to just how impactful Klingon was last year and think he sucks kind of. So those people will grow even louder if Young plays well at all, which is not necessarily a bad problem to have, like, team-wise, but it might get kind of annoying if Kling is playing well, but people are calling for Young to be starting over him and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Brody J asked a little earlier what we thought about the pick at the time. Didn't see the draft stream. I didn't understand it because he was a projected second rounder, so it just seemed like a massive reach for a guy that can't really play with Klingon. I think the more I've watched him, talent-wise for a 7'2 guy, 16th pick was fine. Like, that's the type of range where if you take a swing on a talent with upside, which I think he has, I'm cool with it, even if it wasn't on paper the best value or you might have reached a little bit. If you believe in the upside, you believe in the upside. Still long-term, like, he doesn't fit with Klingon. I don't think he fits with Klingon at all. But in the best case scenario, you already have 5 starters entrenched with, two guards, who knows who, Kamara, Denny, and then Klingon, right? So it's like, no matter where you draft a player, you're going to be bringing them off the bench and hoping that they can maybe surpass a starter, which is going to be the case with Young. It would have been nice to have a Nick Clifford, who I really believe in, who's more positionally versatile and can play different positions, so you have a little more flexibility with him than somebody like Young, who can only play center and basically can only play drop scheme defensively. Can't play next to Klingon, I don't think. Neither one of those guys should be defending the perimeter. So that's going to make things interesting, like Eric said. It's going to be a debate between Young and Klingon. I think a couple years from now, you're going to have Young fans, and you're going to have Klingon fans, and the Young fans are going to love all his offensive talent, and the Klingon fans are going to love the way he plays defense, and that's going to be the next great player debate. I will say at least it's at the center position instead of the guard position, because we've only ever had these debates about freaking guards. And Denny Avdia versus Jeremy Grant for like half a second until it became obvious who was better. So, yeah. Yeah, I said Denny Avdia versus Jeremy Grant for a half second last offseason after we got...
I was saying, you said it became obvious that Jeremy Grant was better. Right?
Oh. Yeah. Became obvious Jeremy Grant was worse. Thank you for correcting me. Yes, I'm not trying to
I was answering
come out.
I wasn't saying you said that.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was joke answering your question. Sorry.
See, sometimes I just get on a roll when I talk that you could tell me that I said Jeremy Grant was better, and I'll be like, oh, I accidentally misspoke, and I'll totally believe you. That's what that was.
That's not what I was trying to say.
Damn. See, I'm already being
But good to know
accident.
I can mess with you.
I know, you really can. You really can. So that's how you can get me back for getting you ranting this year. You can just say I accidentally said something every once in a while, and I'll probably believe you. Because I am prone to that. I try and speak decently quick sometimes. Shout out to Muvsy. Muvsy just wants to run the stream with the $7 Canadian donation. Says, wait, Young can't play power forward. No, I don't think he can play power forward. Thank you for the donation, Muvsy. He's not a good perimeter defender. He's a rim protector. I don't think he's ever going to be a good perimeter defender in the NBA. He's just not quick enough and doesn't move well laterally. So somebody like Klingon can get away with it with his length and kind of instincts and smarts. I just don't think Young has those traits. And I wouldn't even want Klingon defending the perimeter either regularly. So, yeah.
I'm pretty disappointed you didn't read Mubsy's post correctly.
What, wait? Is that how I was supposed to say it?
I don't know, probably weighty.
Weighty?
Weighty.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that a Canadian word? I don't know.
Raymond says maybe JG has a rebound year. In case you didn't know, Grant doesn't rebound, so.
Yeah.
But man.
No, that was a good joke.
That was a delayed reaction.
That was a good joke.
I thought I was going to get a laugh.
No. It took me a second to rebound it because I heard everything you said, and when you said he can't rebound, I was just like, yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah, that's...
Wow.
Listen, man, we're still in off-season form over here,
right.
Eric. We're still in off-season form. It's September. My room is hot. I don't know if I turned the air conditioning on.
All right, I'll give you that. Yeah, off-season.
I need to turn on my air conditioning, okay? So I'll be back in a second because it's like 80 degrees in here, and why do I have air conditioning if I'm not going to use it? You know what I mean?
Maybe not hot today.
I don't know why it's so hot in here. Well, this room traps. I keep the door shut almost all day, so that's what it is. But I'll be back in a sec.
Hello, everyone. Adam says, is it bold if I think we missed the play-in? That's not necessarily bold. I don't think that's bold at all.
Oh, I forgot to mute. Anyway, alrighty. Let's get this thing rolling.
Better now?
Yep.
Or will
Yeah,
it
because
be?
I got a vent right under my desk, so it's either not on and it's hot, or it's on and I end up freezing. It's just the way it goes. But, yeah. Anyway. Sorry, I'm just reading chat. You're. I'll save it for after the stream. I'll save it for after the stream. Anyway, so we have a list of prompts. Okay, we have a list of prompts. We're gonna read them off one by one. Chat, I want you guys to answer. I'll do some chat polls for ones that I can do chat polls for. But we're gonna be making some predictions. All right, we're going to be making some predictions. Now, the first prediction is not like a Vegas over-under line. It's my own line based on what I feel like where you guys are at in terms of how many wins you think the Blazers are going to get next year, all right? So, my first prompt for a prediction is just an over-under wins total prediction, okay? The number is 38.5. More or less wins. Or do you think I should set it higher, Eric? I kind of want to get 50-50 here. Do you think that's a good line for our community?
What's the actual line?
Like 34 is what I've seen.
So we'd all take over if it was 34, probably.
Probably. I think most people have been saying higher than that. But like with how stacked the West is, I think...
Let's put it at 39.5 because then you got 40 wins or above, and that's a good benchmark, I think.
Alrighty. We're going to let you vote in the live chat poll. Brody says I've seen 32.5 a lot, and I understand the logic. The logic is that on paper, the West is stacked this year, and it's impossible to predict injuries going into the season. I mean, you can try, but who knows what injuries are going to look like. So you kind of can only base the teams off of paper. And on paper, it's hard to make a case for the Blazers being a top 10 team. But Eric, we got some votes here. It is pretty 50-50. What's your prediction here?
I'm going to say... It's going to be close, but I'm going to say it's just under 40. So I'm going to say under.
Okay. I also say under. We got our chat. I love how I said I'm optimistic in the intro, and then the first thing is like, I'm not that optimistic. I don't even think going under is an indictment on the Blazers. I think for most people it's more so about how stacked the West is, because that's what it is for me. I think in the Eastern Conference, I would smash the over on this. I might even smash the over on 44.5 wins if they were in the East and playing a bunch of Eastern Conference teams. The problem is they're in the West, and the West is absolutely loaded. I'm going to go under. My win prediction is going to be like 38 wins. That's kind of where I'm at. I do have a weird gut feeling that this could be a season where they win 29, 30 games. Just because the West is so stacked, and if they deal with a couple of injuries here or there. I don't know. I don't really know what to expect out of this season, but I think 38 is a safe win prediction. If there's a line of 32.5, I'd take the over on that right now. 39.5. We got 59% of the chat saying over. We got 41% saying under. We got Mubsy Hoops with a $5.50 Canadian hippo. I love a good Canadian hippo. Yeah, so we got Mount Hood saying 42 in chat. Raymond Falk, I love his optimism. He says 50. I'm going to say 50 win season. I hope you're right, Raymond. I'm Adam says 38-40. Taylor Packer says our defense is going to be insane. We are winning 40.
Mubsy going crazy.
I know. Mubsy loves showering me in Canadian money. I love it.
Is that what the hippos do?
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. But, yeah, I'm not surprised by more people taking the over than the under here. It's nice to have some optimism going into a season. We're at the end of this, we're going to predict offensive and defensive rankings across the league and adjusted offensive and defensive rating, which I think is kind of the best catch-all offensive and defensive ranks. So that's going to be an interesting one. But yeah, I'm taking slightly under on that win total. The next prompt we have is which Blazer is most likely to win a major award? All right, a major award, which means MVP, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man of the Year, Most Improved Player, Defensive Player of the Year. All right. So, which player is most likely to win one of those major awards and why?
I think there's several that have a chance. Um, I mean, obviously, you've got Denny and Sharp, Scoop could all make a case for most improved. Um, I think whoever doesn't start between Scoot, Sharp, and Drew, if it's like qualified enough for Sixth Man of the Year, that could be conversation. And then anytime you have an all defensive team player, you could make the case that he could win Defensive Player of the Year. I guess. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna get a Rookie of the Year. If yeah, I guess Klingen and Rob would have to go down for an extended period, and Young would have to just get a ton of minutes. But
And somehow surpass Cooper Flag statistically.
right, yeah. So
I think that's the least likely award.
I doubt that's happening. But
MVP, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think the Blazers anyone's going to be like good enough to be on an All NBA team. So I think it just comes down to who you either think Tamani's gonna somehow win Defensive Player of the Year, or I think you have to choose one of those three guys for most improved.
My prediction, I feel like, might surprise some people. All right. I think the most likely award that a Blazer wins this year is Sixth Man of the Year by Shaden Sharp. All right. Because Defensive Player of the Year, it's going to be like next to impossible. I think Tamani is a wing, like maybe he could make first team, but it's going to be tough for him to win it all. I think it's a little early for Klingen to be in that conversation this year. And then most improved is always a crapshoot every year. It's very, very, very hard to predict who wins the most improved player award. So I think if Shaden Sharp does not start, because the Blazers start Scoot with Drew, all right, which I don't even think that's likely in itself, but I think the most likely award, if Scoot starts, I would pick Shaden Sharp day one to win Sixth Man of the Year.
But by predicting that award, you're predicting Sharp to come off the bench, right?
That's the most likely award. Most likely award. I think that award is the most likely major award that a Blazer could win this year, is Shaden Sharp. If Scoot starts ahead of him, I think Shaden Sharp's going to win Sixth Man of the Year.
I thought for a second you were going to say Chauncey Coach of the Year. Did anyone say that in chat?
Cronin Executive of the Year.
Don't just say it because I said it, but I want one person to truly believe that this is Chauncey's year.
Yeah, where's our Chauncey fans at?
Who's it going to be?
Yeah.
JP says nobody would say that.
I think, here's the thing. If Scoot comes off the bench, I'm not as inclined to pick him to win Sixth Man of the Year, just because Sharp's a more pure scorer, and I feel like those types have an easier time winning Sixth Man of the Year. Right. I think that's an easier bet. I think at the end of the day, if I had to predict who's going to start, I think it's more likely that, I don't know. Do you think it's, I guess this is another prediction we can get into, Eric. What are the odds of who starts next to Drew, I think we're both assuming Drew starts, yes?
I mean, a lot of people aren't going to agree with that, but yeah,
I'm
I,
assuming that too. Yeah.
I think Drew's going to start. Yeah.
So, what do you think is the likelihood of Sharp versus Scoot starting? Like, is it Sharp 70%? Is it Scoot 80%? Like, how would you
I mean,
predict that?
in a perfect world, none of this has been set yet, and it would come down to who has the better camp between the three of them without giving them a spot beforehand. But I do believe that hardly ever plays out that way. And like we just talked about with Drew, I believe that he was brought in to start. So I guess you could kind of guess who has the better training camp or whatever, but I really think it's going to come down to, I think it's a better fit with Sharp and a point guard versus starting two guards. And I know Drew can play the two a little bit, but I don't. We had spacing issues last year, shooting problems. Maybe he gets back to where he shot 2 years ago in the perfect situation lineup wise for him in a championship team season. But with the Portland's issues with shooting the ball last year and stuff like that, I just, even though Sharp is a worse shooter than both of them, I guess, statistically wise, I feel like they're going to go with the more traditional starting lineup and just justify it by saying that they need someone to run the offense off the bench. And I know they could stagger them and bring them back in like they did with CJ and Anthony when we had other guards here. But I just feel like they're going to start Sharp and then one of the 2-point guards with him. And so I think that's the most likely. I'd actually be surprised if they started both Drew and Scoot.
I think I'll say this. If one of Sharp and Scoot is starting, one of the two, like assuming they don't start Grant, which I think there is a chance they start Grant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. They can start Tamani, Grant, and Denny. Right?
Yeah. They really could, which would just be a mess, because then you'd probably have Sharp playing some 3 and, like, Tamani playing some 2, just kind of strange.
Maybe that should be our bold prediction, they'll start Drew, Klingon with the 3 forwards.
I think there's like a.
And then who's 26th man of the year?
I think there's like a 25% chance of that.
I know, it's ridiculous.
But I feel like I should go higher.
Yeah.
I feel like I should go higher, because that's some stuff they do. They'd look at like some lineup data from last season, which you could come to the conclusion that would be the best lineup going into this year based on lineup data from last season. So 25% might feel a little bit low, where it's like, we don't even have to make it a Scoot versus Sharp thing. We can just make it a neither of them thing, which is ridiculous. But assuming one of Scoot and Sharp starts, I think there's a 60% Sharp starts, a 40% Scoot starts. That's where I'll go for the split.
60 who starts?
60-40 in Sharp's favor.
Okay.
Chat, let me know how you would split it. Let me know if you agree with that. I think there is a legit chance that Scoot could just come into training camp and look like maybe the best player in training camp. I trust the work he's putting in the off season. He showed major strides from last year, from 2 seasons ago, his rookie year, to last year. He took a major step forward. And to me, it's like, okay, if he continues developing at that rate, you could easily make a case that he's maybe a more well-rounded, all-around player than Shaedon Sharp is going into next year. Like, that's certainly possible. That's in the realm of possibilities. That Scoot just takes another major step, whereas Sharp he took a major leap in his finishing ability, but everything else was somewhat the same. The three-point shooting still didn't really develop. The playmaking was still like flashes only. The defense was still questionable, right? Whereas I think Scoot showed consistent improvement last year, and I think he's working his ass off this offseason. So maybe I'm slightly influenced by the offseason workout tapes from Scoot, but I don't know. I just think if he takes another step and like comes into camp, the training staff could just be so wowed with him that they just want to put the ball in his hands and let him run the offense and have Drew more off the ball with the starting lineup and then stagger him, stagger the guards like they used to do with Dame and CJ. So I think that's possible. But I still think at the end of the day, they just elect to start Sharp because they've had him a year longer, and he, I think, had a little better season last year. It's really hard to tell. It's really hard to call it.
We both agree that we think they start Sharp, or start Drew. But if Scoot comes in and plays well in training camp, like you think he might, and Sharp is also good, is there a chance they would say, "Hey, we think it's best for you to come off the bench, Drew"? Or do you think they kind of have to? I mean, maybe he agrees to it without making a fuss about it or anything. I'm not saying he's going to be a malcontent or anything, but I could also, there was rumblings he wasn't happy about being traded here in the first place, and he said the right things and all that. But like, is there part of it that maybe they're trying to at least keep him happy, so if it doesn't work out like on the court, he'd still have some more value or whatever? Or do you think it's a situation where they're just gonna give the best players the best opportunities?
I think that could play a factor in it, but I think it'll be more so they view Drew as a tone setter to start games, where you can have Drew and Tamani out there together that can hypothetically lock up 2 stars. Like if you're playing against OKC, you can start the game with Drew on SGA or Jalen Williams and Tamani on the other one, right? And just disrupt offenses from the jump. And I think they'll value that, where you're not getting that if you start Scoot and Sharp together. So even if Scoot and Sharp are playing really good and look like the future backcourt, I think this season their biggest goal is going to be to establish themselves as a consistently elite defense. And you don't do that by starting Scoot or Sharp over Drew Holiday, right? You do that by starting Drew Holiday, playing him a lot of minutes, and letting him match up against other team stars. I think trying to win games, even if Drew's the third best guard, his best skill for this team is lockdown on-ball defense, and that skill is best utilized against opposing team stars, against opposing team starting players. Whereas Sharp, even if he's the better player, like his microwave scoring could be better suited off the bench in their eyes. Right?
Yeah, agreed. And I also feel like Chauncey likes to lean on guys like Drew a lot too. So I think that'll be the main reason.
I just don't think they would have gotten him to bring him off the bench.
Yeah. I mean, he's here to show the young guys how to play, how to win. He's won 2 championships on 2 different teams. So yeah, I just find it hard to believe to just be like, oh, you know what? Let's just put you in a secondary role off the bench. Because like you said, I do believe he'd be less effective playing against second units in terms of his impact compared to what he would do starting.
I do think the points I made is why it's definitely possible that they start neither Scoot or Sharp. If you're trying to become an elite
Neither,
team.
so.
Yeah, neither. Because they could easily go into the season, Chauncey could easily go into the season like, this is the year I finally make the playoffs. This is the year I finally cement my place as a good coach in this league. All right, how do I do that? Well, I start Drew, Tamani, Denny, Jeremy, and Klingon, and we have a top 3 defense.
Mm.
I think, you know what? I bet you that Chauncey probably thinks that lineup could rival for being the best defensive starting lineup in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
And then you bring Scoot and Sharp
But
off
then
the
you have
bench.
no defenders.
Yeah. Well, and then it's like, okay, you.
Well, Chris Murray is just as good defensively as all.
True, and Matisse Thybulle, is going to try and average 10 steals.
Oh yeah, we still have Thybulle.
Yeah, we still have Thybulle. But like, if they start that lineup, I could see Chauncey thinking like, okay, we're going to set the tone the first 7 minutes of the game with the best defensive starting lineup in the league, one that could rival OKC, and then we bring in the energy and athleticism of Scoot and Sharp to just bring a punch off the bench, a 1-2 punch off the bench. I think they could view this season like that with their rotation. Would that surprise anybody in chat? Would that surprise any of you if that's how they viewed things going into this year? I'm talking myself into thinking that's maybe the most likely starting lineup, Eric.
I know. I almost want to predict it happening. I almost did earlier, but I'm still holding out hope that one of Scoot and Sharp, if not both of them, are so good you just can't start Jeremy over him.
You know what's weird is I've enjoyed this offseason enough that I've become a little less cynical. I feel like myself of a prior year would have absolutely predicted this starting lineup because I was cynical and just a lot of things didn't go the way we wanted it to go. So that would have just been another instance of that. But a lot of things have gone the way I want it to go recently. So there's a part of me that's like, nah, they would at least start one of them. You know, we have a new owner coming in. We got Dame back. Like, I don't know. I'm more optimistic that they're going to do what I want them to do, which is strange. So I think this is the major thing. The major thing from day one. The opening night starting lineup is going to be fascinating to see. And maybe we'll get an inkling in the preseason based on who they start, but I think they'll experiment with different lineups, so I don't think we're going to know.
Yeah, and I feel like the last couple of years they haven't. There's been games where they didn't play many starters either. So
yeah,
in the preseason. So I mean, we kind of laughed earlier when I said I thought you were going to say Chauncey for Coach of the Year. But we know Chauncey's very well respected around the league. If the Blazers aren't in the playoffs, like let's just say they're the 6th seed or maybe 7th seed and look like they're going to be in the playoffs, I do think he'll get a lot of credit for that. And then I guarantee you he'll try to say that he finally has, for the first time his guys here in Portland, and this is the coach that I could have been these last 4 years, crap like that. So I do think there is a chance that he could get some love if they're look at, like, I'm not saying he's a good coach or anything, but I mean, Ime Udoka and the Rockets last year, went from a non-playing team to the 2 seed. And I'm not saying that could happen, but if you have like another jump from this year, I think he's going to get a lot of credit.
Yeah.
Right or wrong.
Yeah. I don't think it's out of play. I don't think it's out of play. And I think you could make a case this is the most likely award just because it's so hard to win a player award. There's only 30 coaches. There's how many players? 500, 400, 500?
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't trust Chauncey enough to get this team to that point yet. So I'll hold off on making that prediction. I like my sharp six man of the year prediction, especially now that I'm convincing myself that they might start Grant, Tamati, Deddy, Clingan, and Drew.
I the problem with the 6 man thing, I just don't know. Like it could look really good. Like say 20 games in, you could be like, oh, my prediction. Look at Sharp killing off the bench, but then I could see him like moving into the starting lineup then if he's doing that well. And
Yeah, but I mean, I could see both him and Scoot doing well, where like Sharp's averaging 18 off the bench in 31 minutes or whatever, 30, 31 minutes, and then Scoot's averaging a solid like 14 and 6, 15 and 6, maybe 15 and 5, right? Where they're both playing equally well, and maybe they'd insert Scoot. I don't know. It's just if things are going well and with that starting lineup, they probably just keep things the same.
all right, Aeromancer's drunk.
Aeromancer says buying out Grant is the best course of action. Definitely not, my guy. I don't want to have his dead money on the books in 7 years. I'll be 36. I'll be 36. No, thank you.
Well, not. I mean, if you didn't have the dead money, if you just ate it for the next 3 years, and having like an untradeable 30-some million on your books is insane. Why?
I'll say this. I'm gonna say something positive about Grant. All right, really gonna shock the people. His archetype, if he bounces back a bit next year, is kind of ideal coming off the bench. Like a 3-point shooting forward that can score off the dribble a little bit and like is an okay defender. Okay to maybe slightly above average, at least he's long athletic. So going into next year, if that's his role, I think it's fine. You're kind of stuck with a contract. You have to eat it. Buying him out, you're still going to have to eat that contract anyway. So you might as well just have the player that's a good fit off the bench. And then he is matching salary in a trade. Now you probably have to give up a premium in terms of assets in order to make a trade work where you're using his salary to trade for something. Just because I think it's going to have to take an asset for a team to take him on. But at the deadline, if you don't have that contract, it becomes really hard to trade for a player making $35 million or more. I'll say $40 million or more. Because you got Rob Will, you got Thibel's contracts. That's like $25 million in salary. Beyond that, you only have very small contracts or contracts you otherwise would not be looking to trade. So I don't know what player that trade would be for off the top of my head. I mean, you can throw out names like Domantas Sabonis, for example. In that case, you probably trade Klingon, I guess, or Young Hansen, one of the two. So that's some salary, but it is salary that you can move, even though you'll have to probably give up an additional asset to get off of it. It is still matching salary. But when it's an expiring contract, then I don't think it's something where you necessarily have to give up an asset to get off of it. You can use that expiring contract 2 years down the line. I think it's better just to have that archetype of player off the bench and then use that expiring contract in 2 years than it is to just buy him out and be stuck with that dead money with no recourse.
Airmaster says with a buyout, it's possibly agrees to an type deal where you'll agree to walk for less than his full contract.
Aiden was expiring.
Yeah, that wasn't a 3-year deal. And also, the problem with that now, like maybe you do that next offseason before free agency. But now, I mean, the Nets aren't going to sign him. So what team still has, $10 million to give him to offset what he did? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in the next offseason, you'd have to make a good case for, like, okay, he's given up some money. So it's $20 million of dead money the next 2 years, hypothetically. Would probably be even more because he'd be giving up more than $10 million in that case. I don't think he gives up more than $10 million a year, right? So let's say it's, $26, $27 million of dead money for 2 years. All right, is saving that $10 million opening up something that you can do that justifies it? It's very unlikely it would. So I don't think that's going to be the best move.
And here's the other problem. Now they could make another move, I guess, and get another player outside of the roster. But okay, let's just say we waived him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to Chris Murray playing 30 minutes a game. Like what are we doing at the backup forward spot?
Yeah.
I mean, like I guess Thibault can play some three. You're gonna have Rob Will for 6 games playing the four till he gets hurt. Like what? And don't say Ryan Repair. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing at the three and the four? Uh,
Yeah.
I, I believe once we traded for Drew, with their contracts lining up for 3 years, it was indication that they're going to try to make it work with Jeremy being a part of the rotation at forward. Not, I don't think they're looking to just get off of him for the sake of getting off of him, unless it was like in a trade where you could get rid of his contract completely.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that makes sense for them the way they have their salary lined up anymore.
Yep. Yep. It's just best to deal with it. Hope he's a good player off the bench. Hope he provides some shooting off the bench. Hopefully he gets back to being a 40% shooter, and then hopefully that contract is able to facilitate a trade down the line somehow. That is the best case scenario out of a Jeremy Grant trade or Jeremy Grant situation at this point. So, as much as I want him off the team, you guys know I've been begging for him to be traded for a while now. I don't think a buyout makes sense for him. I think a buyout made sense for Ayton. It allowed them to sign Dame back, and it cleared the way for Klingon, right? And Ayton off the bench would have been an absolute problem. I have more hope that Grant's going to be a little more professional if he's coming off the bench, and it's not like the buyout is going to open anything out. Now, maybe you could make a case for a unique situation next offseason to buy him out. And at that point, I'll listen to that case. But it'd have to be a unique situation, just like buying out Ayton, help the Blazers sign Dame, that type of thing.
Well, I mean, if Dame doesn't get waived, though, we didn't use that money. Right?
Yeah, but also with it being the final year, that's different than it having 2 years left. Right.
I'm just saying, like, I don't know if they necessarily are planning on, even if they did buy him out, like, oh, well, we're going to do this with the money, because this year proved they didn't really have a plan of what to do with that extra savings. It just helped them be a little bit more flexible than they thought they were going to be going into free agency, but it didn't really pan out until Dame got waived and then wanted to come back.
Yep. Anyway, we do have more prompts that we're going to get into here. This one I think will be kind of quick. We've talked a lot about this conversation, but most likely player to make a leap this season. It's kind of ambiguous. You could phrase this as like most likely player to win most improved, but more so I just like most likely player to basically change the narrative about him, to to make the leap is what they call it. I don't know a better way to explain it than that. Eric, chat, let me know your picks. My pick is Scoot. I just talked about I trust the work he's putting in this offseason. I don't know if the situation is going to be the best for him next year to make that leap, but I think last year, he made a decent leap, and I think this year, if he's given a little more minutes, a little more responsibility, and improves at the same rate, then it could really, really pop. So that's my pick. What about you, Eric? And I'll do a chat poll for this.
I always hate the most improved / leap when it's a player that kind of already took a leap, but I do think, based on the way he's been playing the last couple weeks, that Denny's jump last year is real, and that we've talked about this numerous times. His shooting percentages over the last few months is not going to be sustainable. However, most everything else could be sustainable for a full season. And so I think him solidifying himself as like 28 and 4 or 5 type of guy is certainly possible. And even though he kind of showed that at the end of last season, I still think that would be a huge leap and a huge thing for this team to have that consistently. And I think Denny's going to come out of the gates playing really well and just taking off from where he left off last season.
So my question for you: if Scoot improves this season at the same rate that he did his rookie season going into year 2, let's say he keeps up that trajectory, okay, what would Danny have to average to make a bigger leap than Scoot?
Well, I mean, what is that? I mean, what, Scoot's going to improve his 3-point shot by another 6% or something? Like what?
He went from 32.5 to what, 35 last year, so that means he shoots 37.5. True shooting went from 49 to 54, so true shooting like 59%. While
I mean that
while averaging 17 and 7 per 36. Maybe he plays like 31 minutes a game, right? So let's say he averages like 15 and 6.
I mean, if Scoot shoots close to 60% true shooting percentage, I think he's very easily the answer here. I think he showed a lot of improvement. It's hard to know how much, like, you can't just improve by that much.
Yeah, of course.
Right? No matter how hard you work. So it's like, there's like going to be a ceiling or a plateau, which isn't I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because his jump in shooting last year was awesome. And that's exactly what he needed to show as a player, that he wasn't just going to be a bad shooter his whole career. And to show that in his second year, I think was really cool. So it's just tough. But if he improves just that little bit, if it's just looking like the numbers you just read off, I think then, yeah, this answer is clearly Scoot. And I don't think anyone else could do anything to do that, short of Klingon becoming like an offensive force all of a sudden or something in addition to his defense. But
yeah,
I don't really see that happening either.
I think that basically kind of explains my answer. Yeah, it's like I think Scoot will make a similar leap, but I think a similar leap for Scoot this year isn't like the same percentage improvement in efficiency. Mm-hmm. I think it's a little bit more improved efficiency, but also a higher volume of scoring and playmaking. Right? Because last year he improved his efficiency. I think he improved some of his decision making, cut down on some turnovers. But like per 36, he went from 17.7 points to 17 and 6.9 assists to 6.9 assists, right? Like his volume as a scorer, as a playmaker on a per minute, per possession basis, if anything, you can make the argument it slightly went down while he just made better decisions and was more efficient. So I think, that slight downtick might have been a product of him picking his spots a little bit more. I think year 3, him improving at the same rate is, continuing to improve his efficiency a little bit, but then finding ways to be more aggressive with both his own shot and creating for teammates. So that's why I'd say him making the leap, is I think that's what next season looks like for Scoot.
As Marv says in chat, it'd be cool if we were like debating this like late in the season. Mm-hmm. If we're like, man, who do you choose for like Blazer Team Award Most Improved? Yeah. Like we've got like 3 or 4 guys that you can all make a case for.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I hope that we get to have those debates at the end of the season. I think Klingon, if he, I don't know, like, could he be considered a top 3 rim protector next year while also improving his 3-point shot?
Was a rookie.
Yeah. Like, is that a leap? If he starts being inserted into, like, man, maybe this guy's Rudy Gobert with the ability to knock down a 3 once in a while. I mean, that could be a leap. Denny, of course. If Denny averages like 22, 23 points per game, then yeah, that's taking a leap from like really, really good starter with flashes of stardom to like legit star territory. Um, I think Denny. I've been on the record. I think he averages like 19 points, 4.5 assists, like 7, 8 rebounds next year. So I think Scoot improving at the same rate in the way that I said. That's why I'd take Scoot. But like if Denny improves more than that and he's looked really good in Eurobasket, then that he could absolutely be the right pick. And we didn't even talk about Shaden Sharp for this. Chat 30% vote. Shaden Sharp is the guy to make the leap this year. I mean, could he become a 24, 25 point per game guy? That would be quite the leap as well. Then you'd be looking at him, hopefully like a star scorer. Hopefully not like, oh, he's just Zach LaVine and Cam Thomas reincarnated. You know, like, so that's the tough thing with Sharp is like he could take a statistical leap as a scorer, but how will it be viewed?
Mute that bozo's voting for Tom Haberstroh to be our
Hell
breaker.
yeah. I like it. Can I vote for myself to make the leap this season? I'm going to make a leap this season.
Is that even possible, Tori?
Nah, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a good question. Is it possible, chat? Let me know. But we got 39% of people voting Scoot, 26% Sharp, 26% Denny Avdia, 10% Klingon. We got Pablo Torre vote in the chat. Yeah, man. I mean, he made a splash recently.
And several splashes.
Yeah, we love it. We love.
Did you listen to the interview with Cuban?
No, I heard that in an interview. Was it testy?
No. It was like a little over an hour. It was pretty fascinating. It seemed like it was getting testy at times, but both of them were pretty cordial to each other. They both kind of try to talk over each other sometimes, but I guess Pablo ended up cutting it down, but they talked for nearly 3 hours.
That's crazy. They're like us.
Having like a back and forth on Twitter, and then him asking him, or Pablo asking Mark to come on the show.
I mean, I respect Pablo for doing that because Mark kind of called him out. So
yeah, well, yeah, and I feel like, I mean, those of you that watched last stream know that I feel like Ballmer's kind of full of crap, and it's pretty obvious that he's trying to lie. But I do feel like Pablo, he impressed me with just the way he stuck up for himself and held his own with Cuban, because I mean Cuban's got a way about him that he can kind of put anyone down or like kind of seem like he's untouchable, you know, as a lot of rich people can. But I thought Pablo held his own.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. I'll have to check it out.
Basically, Mark thinks that Ballmer would have paid off whoever was necessary if it was about to come out that that company was going to go under or going to face criminal charges if they didn't pay people or something. Like, he thinks it would have been, if it was him, he would have just made sure that never saw the light of day and just paid off whoever he needed to.
You know what's funny is that's actually the best argument I think you could make on Ballmer's behalf, because it's really hard to make any argument on his behalf. But what do rich people do? They bury their problems. They pay people off. You know, they come to settlement agreements if there's a lawsuit. Like, they throw their money around. They throw their power around. So that's the best argument you can come up with.
Mm-hmm. But then Pablo was like, he basically said, if there was already like rumblings about criminal investigation and maybe he had already been questioned by the FBI and you start throwing out fraud and all this stuff, like how like can you really get further in bed with this company and like try to solve all their problems with money if they're being investigated for money
Yeah.
issues. So maybe it got to a point, because this didn't just come out with the trial that obviously was being investigated long before that. So like how long ago was that, and or were there rumors about it? And so it made him have to be like, oh, I really want to get involved, but I can't. And then Cuban kept saying he would have just he would have paid off Kawhi's uncle so that he just basically here take this money and shut up, type of thing. But Pablo never mentions this, but in my opinion, based off everything that I've heard about the demands from Kawhi's uncle, what would stop him from not still demanding the money from the company, even if Ballmer paid him off? I think he might have double dipped, and
Yeah.
and so like it wouldn't have been a guarantee that he stayed quiet either.
Yeah.
But it might have been best to get that debt off the books of that company, but I still feel like it would have came out somehow.
I'm I'm hopeful that the NBA like is able to provide more clarity no matter what happened. Like this is the type of thing where it's just such a mess, and if he cheated, I hope they get some proof. If he was purposefully circumventing the cap, and punish him accordingly. And if he wasn't, hopefully somehow they can find proof of that as well. This seems like the type of situation that could just linger without any definitive closure, and maybe the NBA punishes him, but like there's still plausible deniability, like what
Yeah.
Mark Cuban is doing for him. So I just hope it's not one of those sagas that never comes to a real conclusion.
And that's obviously the angle Ballmer's going for is that, how was I supposed to
Yeah,
know I was being defrauded too? Like,
yeah,
but yeah, it's pretty fascinating just hearing Cuban talk about it. And Pablo keeps bringing up like, so uh, Ballmer was fined for tampering with the DeAndre Jordan case. Um, Remember when the Clippers like locked him in the room or whatever
yeah.
when he was going to sign with Cuban in Dallas? And so Pablo was like, the dude circumvented the rules to get a free agent that you were involved with, and now you don't think he would do
He held
something else?
somebody hostage to sign him. He would
Yeah.
go to any lengths, right?
And then Cuban said in 2019, because and these more of these rumors have been coming out recently too, but I guess Kawhi's uncle was making all kinds of demands in 2019 if Kawhi was going to consider any teams um, in free agency that year. And Mark Cuban said they had like a governor's meeting about Kawhi's uncle, and they like had to discuss all this, and there was even a rule put in place that prohibited whatever it was from like giving money or listening to demands from
Yeah.
outside the salary cap or whatever. But yeah, so Pablo's like, so he signed with the Clippers when he was demanding all this other stuff from other teams, but the Clippers didn't give him
Yeah.
anything, and he signed there anyway. And Ballmer's got a previous tampering, like he was fined for tampering
Yeah.
with your team, and you're still gonna say you don't believe that he would ever even consider circumventing the salary cap at all, like to get a player there with how bad he wants to win, opening a new arena and all this kind of stuff. You're saying that it's a stretch for me to put that out there versus you just saying, "Oh, I don't believe he would do that."
It's kind of like, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a great example for that saying. It's too many things, too many fishy things that line up for it to be a coincidence.
Mm-hmm.
Is what it seems like. So, of course, don't know for sure. Can only come to a logical conclusion based off what we know. The logical conclusion, I think, is pretty simple in that, yeah, he did try and circumvent the cap, and Kawhi's uncle was a part of it, and Pablo Torre's reporting was correct. So, like I said, hopefully we get a conclusion to this conversation. So
I think it'll be more likely, like you said, they'll fine him or suspend him, but they'll say that the investigation couldn't prove any wrongdoing or something.
yeah, yep, absolutely agree. We have some more prompts. Boldest team stat, boldest player stat, a couple that we're going to get into. But first, I'd like to say a quick word from our sponsor for this season, which is Sleeper. So we got the Picks app from Sleeper up here on the screen, okay? We're going to make some NFL picks. So they have boosts and stuff at the top. They have Jaden Daniels. We're going to take the over half a passing yard. That's basically a free square, all right? We're going to take that. And basically, you just pick more or less of your favorite players' stats. So right here, we got half a sack for Micah Parsons. Next Thursday, I'm going to take that. I think he's going to get a sack. He got one last week. And then I think Scary Terry McLaurin, we're going to do more on 51.5 receiving yards. So we combine these three things. We get 3.86 times our payment if we win. So we're going to put $7 down on this to get $27. We need all three things to happen. And it's literally that simple to have some fun with Sleeper Picks. Use promo code Uprise. Use promo code Uprise, and you'll get a 100% match up to $100 on your deposit. Just download Sleeper. It's available in your app store. They have fantasy football leagues. If you're doing fantasy football, hopefully that's going well for you currently. Hopefully you got a win in week 1. But I've played this for 2 years. I have a lot of fun with this Picks app. And even if you're not into football, we got basketball right around the corner that you can get in on the action for. I play some season-long ones. They have all different sorts of options. If you're into Counter-Strike, they got Counter-Strike up there. So, but Eric, what do you like my parlay? Over half a passing yard for Jaden Daniels, over half a sack for Micah Parsons, and over 51.5 receiving yards for Terry McLaurin. Do you think that hits?
Yeah, I like it. Good job.
We got Aeromancer Scary Terry mentioned in relation to... That's a funny comment. That's a funny comment, Arrow.
Except for these are contests of skill, not betting, Aeromancer.
Yes, these are contests of skill. If you know football, you can test your skill. I know all you know basketball, so we got NBA season right around the corner. It's going to be fun to do some stuff here. We'll see. We stream on Thursday. We'll see if that hits. We'll do another one on Thursday. Of course, we have Sunday games. Maybe we'll do a couple. Maybe Eric will do one. And then on Monday, we can see if that hits. We're going to be doing that all September. It's just a fun way to do something with sports this time of year with NFL week 1 starting this past week. I had a lot of fun watching football. I even introduced Muvsy. As I said earlier, he's Canadian. He watched Red Zone for the first time and was blown away. He understands it now. Even with the commercials, which... I only remember one commercial from Red Zone, and it was a 15-second Wingstop commercial, which I'll never complain about a Wingstop commercial, except when Jalen Green's in it. So, wasn't that bad. I know there was a lot of hoopla about that, but watching Red Zone NFL just makes me wish there was like a similar thing for the NBA. It's just with the NFL not having as many games, every game feels important. With the NBA having 82 games in the regular season and so many teams making the playoffs, it doesn't feel the same. So... I know like NBA TV will hop around games and stuff, but I'm still a Red Zone watcher despite their non-commercial free football. But yeah, shout out to Sleeper. Use that promo code Uprise. Have some fun with the NFL or any other sport. They got different sports that you can get in on the action for. Alrighty. Let's discuss some more prediction prompts. All right. The next one, chat. Answer in the live chat. Okay, this is boldest team stat prediction, right? So it could be 3-point percentage. It could be like rebounding, something with it can be with any team stat, okay? It can be with their pace. It can be anything, all right? So basically just a bold team stat prediction. If you have one, leave one in the live chat. All right. Eric, do you have a bold team stat prediction? And the next we'll do bold player stat prediction. So
give yours. I'll think of it.
Oh, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Brody says top 5 offensive rebounding. I think they were top 5 last year, so I think that would kind of just be more of the same. Part of me wants to go still bottom 10 offense.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna save that because I know that's coming up later, right?
Yeah.
Unless you want to just incorporate those now.
I mean, just whatever your best answer is. This is a tough prompt for sure.
I think our 3-point percentage will be even worse than it has been the last 2 seasons.
Really? That's bold, all right? That's a good answer for the prompt because we were a 34.2% 3-point shooting team last year, good for 26th in the NBA. So even worse than that is tough. But obviously trading Ant for Drew Holiday doesn't help the 3-point shooting. Yeah. I don't know if this is going to seem bold. I think we shoot a little bit better. What was our assist percentage last year? Last year we were 28th in assist percentage. So under Chauncey Billups, we were 28th, 30th, and then 18th the year before, and 21st the year before. So the last 2 years, we're 28th and 30th. Would it be bold to say I think we're a top 20 team in assist percentage?
Yeah, I think so.
That's my bold team stat prediction. I think we'll be like 19th in assist percentage. I think that is the one thing that Chauncey will improve upon this season is the Blazers will move the ball better. The other I don't even know how much I believe that. It feels maybe a little too bold. I'm kind of on the fence about that one. The other bold stat prediction is like the Blazers being a top 7 team in pace, offensive pace. I know they talk about doing it, but they never do. They never do. They're always like middle of the pack in terms of pace. So jumping up to the top 7 would be a legitimate jump. I think Ant liked to slow the ball down. He seemed uncomfortable at times in transition last year. He had, I feel like a lot of his mistakes were him trying to play faster and just not being used to it. Of course, he came up under Dame and CJ playing in a half-court offense with Terry Stotts. That's kind of what he got used to. That's kind of what he learned. So, but I don't know if going from Simons to Drew, how much that's going to help their pace, especially if Drew's the starting point. I feel like if Drew's the starting point next to Sharp, you're kind of relying upon Denny to be the guy that like pushes the ball all the time, and Sharp will have his moments as well. But then again, what was the pace last year for Boston? Yeah, last year Boston had the 29th fastest pace in the second longest offensive possession length. So that's what Drew Holiday's coming from. So I'll stick with the assist number. I think the pace is still probably not going to be top 10. I don't know. I think they'd have to start Scoot in order for the pace to be top 10. I think if they start Grant, then it's definitely probably not going to be top 10 because he's not somebody that's going to rebound, push, and transition. Anyway.
I don't believe that. I'm taking a see it when I believe it to any sort of assist and pace. So I do believe those are bold predictions. But I don't believe they'll actually pick up the pace enough to be like a top fast break team or pace team. And I don't think they're going to be able to manufacture assists enough. Yeah.
All right. Do you have a bold player stat prediction?
Um, it's tough without knowing the minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna say Shaden Sharp's gonna average at least 23 points per game.
I like it. I like it. That's bold. I don't think I can do any. I think that would probably be my bold stat prediction as well. I think the. I've made my predictions for Denny. I don't. It's tough for me to say Sharp gets there without knowing that he's going to start and play like 34, 35 minutes a game. I think. Scoot shoots at least 37% from three. I know he was kind of close to that, but that still feels a little bold. I'll do over 37 point. Nah, I think it'll be like a 37.3% 3-point shooter. Chat, is that bold or is that not bold? Let me know.
Daniel says Denny's going to average a triple double with 5 steals. That'd be awesome.
Oh, here's my bold. Okay, here, does this count? Denny will get at least 4 triple doubles. There's my bold stat prediction. At least 4 triple doubles. That's very bold. Okay. I'm happy with the boldness of that one. He's getting way more than 4. I mean, has a Blazer ever... When was the last Blazer to get 4 triple doubles in the same season? Has that ever even happened before? Like probably way back in the day, maybe Bill Walton. I don't know. Anyway. Predict the Blazers' ranking on offense. Predict the Blazers' ranking on offense, all right? This is adjusted offensive rating. Where do you think they'll finish offensively?
Please tell us where they finished last year first.
Last year, your Portland Trail Blazers finished as the 23rd ranked offense. The 23rd ranked offense.
Trying to... Who was below them? Yeah, if you don't have it, it's fine. I was wondering if you had.
Below them was Utah, New Orleans, Toronto, Orlando, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Washington.
All right, offensively, I think one of those teams is better than us offensively. I'll say 1 or 2. So I'll say 22nd.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be that much better.
The number I had in my mind was 21st. 21st. That's what I'm going with.
All right. Pretty close.
Defensive ranking. Last year, the Blazers ranked 13th in adjusted defensive rating. Where do they finish this season? Chat, let me know in the live chat. Eric, I can answer this first if you want me to.
Go ahead.
I'm going to go with 7th. I'm going to go with 7th. That was Golden State's defensive ranking last year. The 6 teams better were OKC, the Clippers, Orlando, Houston, Minnesota, and Boston. Okay. I think out of those teams, the top 5, OKC, the Clippers, Orlando, Houston, and Minnesota, I'd probably still take all 5 of those teams to be better defensively, although I think you can make a case for Portland surpassing the Clippers, even though they rank 2nd, or Minnesota. I think OKC, Orlando, Houston, it's going to be tough to pass those 3. Boston, I think the Blazers passed just after the injury to Jason Tatum, trading Drew Holiday, trading Porzingis, bringing Ant, right? They might have to start Sam Hauser, Neemias Queta. So I think the Blazers will pass them. And then the other teams like Miami, I think Blazers will pass them. Memphis, I don't trust them going into this year. Detroit, Milwaukee, I certainly don't trust them. Cleveland, I mean, they start a small backcourt. They were the number 1 offensive team, 9th defensive team last year. I think the Blazers could pass them. So I'm going with 7th. What are you going with, Eric? What was the number in your head?
9th.
9th?
Yeah. I think they'll be really good at times. I just don't know, if there's any sort of injuries like we're accustomed to. I don't believe we have the depth at certain defensive positions to uphold like a higher ranking all season. So I'm going to say top 10 is still pretty good, but yeah.
Yeah. So there was a team last year with the 21st ranked offense and the 8th ranked defense. Do you have a guess as to what their record was?
What numbers did you say? I heard 28.
There was a team last year. This is basically what we predicted for the Blazers. There was a team last year with the 21st ranked offense and 8th ranked defense. Do you have a guess as to what their record was?
I'm trying to think. You said Orlando was in the top. I'm trying to think what team it is.
Just based on the rankings, like win numbers. Just like
I don't know. 30 wins. I don't know.
So that was the 37-45 Miami Heat.
Okay. They made the play-in.
Yep. And 38 wins is probably my prediction. Falls right in line with Miami's offensive and defensive ratings from last year. So that would be a 2-spot improvement offensively and a 5-spot improvement defensively. Now, our goals for offensive and defensive rating will be higher than that. My goal would probably be to be a top 5 defense and be a top 16 offense, which I think is a little ambitious, but you should set your hopes high.
So what was Orlando? How many games did Orlando win last year?
Orlando won 41 games.
Yeah, 500.
And they were 3rd defensively and 27th offensively. So, their net rating was 17th, Miami's was 16th. But Orlando won more games.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, can you win close games is also the thing that comes into equation. And that's going to be a huge question mark for the Blazers offensively in close games next year. Can they execute offensively in crunch time situations? Because if they can't, that's how you lose a lot of close games. That's how you end up on the outside looking in at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next is a question. We got 3 prompts left. Will Chauncey Billups solidify his job security, or will his seat heat up with new ownership coming in? So basically, will Chauncey's seat get hotter or colder? Colder meaning his job is safer. So we're going to do a chat poll, okay? Hotter, colder. Alrighty, Eric. What do you think?
I think that Chauncey is going to initially get a hotter seat because, once again, I think people are expecting this big jump next season. And if they're fighting for the last play-in game, I don't think it's going to look quite as good as people are hoping that are thinking it's going to. So I think it is going to look hotter. However, I think Chauncey, since we're being bold, I think he'll win Tom Dundon over, and it will go back to not being as hot. And then next year we'll have Dame back, and maybe he'll get bailed out by Dame and a better team next year. But I think he keeps his job even if this season doesn't go well.
I think if they win 38 games like I'm predicting, I don't think his seat is going to be safe with a new owner coming in that I think is going to have high expectations. I think it's going to be very tough for this Blazer team to do well enough in a stacked Western Conference for Tom Dundon to come in and look at Chauncey Billups and look at his tenure of 5 years at that point and look at his overall record and sit here and say, yeah, you know what? Because you went from 21 wins to 36 wins to 38, 39 wins, you're safe with me. Now, I think this could depend on when he buys the team, but assuming the transaction is final before the end of the season and Tom Dundon's able to be around the organization before the season is over, I think if at the end of the year, if they're not in the play-in, I think Chauncey's seat will be scorching hot. And that doesn't necessarily mean he gets fired. It means he's on the hook. And even more so than he is right now. Because while you could say he's on the hook with a new owner coming in just as it is, he did just get an extension. So yeah, that's my thoughts. Chat agrees with me. 75% say his seat is hotter. Now, final two questions. What will be... Do you want to start with pessimism or optimism, Eric? Do you want to end the stream
out of the equation?
End the stream with optimism. All right. What will be... We'll start with the pessimism. What will be the most disappointing thing about this season?
Most disappointing thing this season will be still not making the play-in.
We have a lot of very
being
similar,
like 11th.
We have a lot of very similar answers because that's mine as well. I've been on the record. I think they finished 11th in the West. I hope that they don't. I don't even think it's a failed season if they finish 11th in the West. I think by like Chauncey's evaluation, it might be a failed season for himself and for the new owner coming in. But I think with the West being as stacked as it is, they could show serious improvement and still finish 11th in the West. So I think that would be the most disappointing thing ending the season on Sunday, game number 82. With that said, what will be the most encouraging thing about this season?
I think our young core will improve a lot, and despite not making the play-in, like I just said, I do think it'll provide optimism that it is still headed in the right direction. And then, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, get Dame back next year, um, and maybe make some good moves next offseason to build around what we have and adding Dame. So yeah, um, I'm going to predict that despite the record, uh, a lot of people think we'll be negative if we finish 11th or whatever, but I think we'll both at the end of the season feel like it was still moving in the right direction despite not making the playoffs, play in again.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to go in line with a lot of my other answers. I'm fully believing in a Scoot breakout. I think that will be the most encouraging thing about this season. Yeah, I'll word it this way. I think the combination of Scoot, Sharp, and Denny will have people feeling very good by the end of the season going forward. You could also probably throw Klingon in there, but I think it'll be more so like who's the future starting center between Klingon and Young Hansen. Whereas I think Denny, Sharp, and Scoot will take legitimate steps forward this season collectively, and that'll be a positive sign coming out of the season. Even if they finish 11th, it could still be a somewhat successful season if those guys like assert themselves. And you got Dame coming back, you got assets down the line where you can feel good about building upon those three with Dame. So those are my answers.
Nice.
Anyway, those are our bold predictions. If you guys got any prompts, we'll take 5 minutes to answer any prompts that you guys have. You can feel free to put them in the lively live chat. The lively live chat. What's up, sir? Damn it. Good to see you. So, in case you're watching the stream, maybe you're watching back after the fact, you don't know why I'm calling the live chat lively. Basically, there's just been a debate going on about how much Portland sucks as a city. So, yeah. That's been the live chat. So, Daniel Schwartz came in and says, "Why so many people hating on Portland? It's popular to hate on Portland, man. It's popular." Anyway. But that whole conversation is either everybody thinks it's, I don't want to go into it, but it's always dramatic. It's always over-exaggerated. Everything has to be over-exaggerated today. Mm-hmm. On the internet, everything has to be over-exaggerated. So, it's ridiculous.
Well, the thing I hate is when you say something and then people say, "Oh, so you're saying it's okay for people to do drugs and be homeless and stuff?" Like, no, I don't want there to be homeless people. I would rather that not be an issue, and I'd rather have healthcare and medical help, mental help for all these people. But that is, it's really quite fascinating how the people who speak so highly for bringing in the military and doing whatever it takes don't want to actually invest in any programs that get people help and help people other than themselves. It's quite pathetic, actually. It's really pissing me off.
Yeah, it's annoying too. So, it's September, so we'll address it on stream, especially because it's been in our live chat, and it's just a hot topic, and we cover the Portland Trailblazers. Portland Trailblazers. But at the end of the day, like, I think most people can agree on what some of the problems with the city are. I think the disagreement comes in with like how much people want to over-exaggerate it. Mm-hmm. And act like it's, you can't walk a block downtown at night, like that type of crap, even though you literally just did so.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, like, that's a whole thing. But I think the other disagreement is just like, how do you solve it? Here's the thing, like, can have those conversations. It doesn't have to be tribal political conversations. I think those are if you try and have a legitimate conversation instead of just thinking about what your favorite politician says, then I think you can have a legitimate conversation about what the best way to solve that would be, and it can be cordial and it doesn't have to be a toxic back and forth. But unfortunately, with your experience lately on Twitter responding to stuff like in, stuff that we've seen in our live chat, it's just a lot of tribal politics if you want to talk about Portland as a city. So I guess it's come to the point where even though we cover the Portland Trailblazers, we can't we can't publicly discuss the state of the city without having a horde of people attacking because it doesn't go along with their their talking points. It doesn't go along with their narrative. So that's how the internet works nowadays. It's a damn shame, but it's not surprising.
Man, what's really funny is, like, I see some crazy stuff too. Like, people try to make it seem like I was okay with it too. Like, do you know what the fentanyl fold is, Tori? It's crazy, dude. Like, you walk down the street and see just people crouched over in positions I don't even know how they stand there, and they'll just be there for hours, not moving. And the tough part for me is I don't see any homeless people downtown that just recently lost their job and are down on their luck and are trying to get back. Like, they all have problems and they need help. And it's like just coming in and sweeping them all out of here. Yeah, that'll look great. But then, so does Seattle need that too? Most people would agree. I'm assuming if you think Portland needs it, that Seattle also needs it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. And then it's like, okay, so what? You're going to relocate the people and then they're not going to come back? Like, how are you solving the actual problem?
Let's just say they started in Seattle. Where do you think they're going to push all those people to?
Yeah.
Like, where are all those people going to go, right? They're going to come down to Portland. And then as soon as they leave Seattle, they're just going to go right back up there when they come down to sweep our city, right?
Yeah, and if you push them out of
here, they're going to just do the opposite, right?
If you push them out of Portland, are they coming up to Vancouver, Washington? Like, is that now is that now a Vancouver problem? And then how do we address that? Like, why are we just chasing this problem around? It doesn't really make sense. Like, that's the problem with these conversations, is it doesn't really feel like it's a conversation with people that are interested in solving the problem. It's just like, homeless, I want to go to downtown Portland and not see a single homeless person. Get them out of here. It's not about helping those people. So that's the problem I have with that conversation. And somehow that's a political conversation, even though I think that's more so just kind of like a humanity conversation. These are living beings. So if you're watching this and you have a problem with me saying that, I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry at all. Doesn't have to be political. You can feel however you want politically and agree with me. Like, I don't think we get so caught up in tribal politics on the internet nowadays that is really the conversation. Regardless of how I feel politically, that doesn't mean that I can't agree with somebody who thinks differently than me politically. That doesn't mean I agree with everything on my political side. That's how normal, logical people are, okay? So, at the end of the day, like, there's problems with the city of Portland. There's also good things about the city of Portland. The reality is always somewhere in the middle. I say this with sports. Nothing's ever the absolute worst or the absolute best or as extreme as people on the internet like to make it out to be. And at the end of the day, there are problems with all cities. Like, there's problems that Portland has, a lot of other cities have. They are problems.
And that's not excusing the problems.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of the...
How do you try and productively solve the problems? You know what I mean? That's the conversation. And of course, people are going to disagree on that. But disagreeing on the solution is completely different than, oh, you don't think Portland is an absolute hellhole, Eric? you're the worst. I'm not gonna watch the streams anymore. You know, blah 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 blah. Like whatever the crap that you dealt with on Twitter lately. But that's the way the internet works. That's tribalism at its finest. So that's my thoughts on all of it. You know, this has been a hot topic lately. If you don't know what we're talking about politically, like, or you don't know what we're talking about in terms of well, let's just say the president said the military needs to come to Portland to fix it up. Okay, that's what we're referencing. I don't think that's going to solve the problem. If you think that's going to solve the problem, I disagree with you. I don't really understand your point, but you're entitled to your opinion. I'm not going to sit here and attack you over it, and even though you'd probably attack me over everything I just said. So that's just the way it goes, and that's why we avoid these conversations. But it's been lively in chat, and it's September. It's the end of a 2-hour stream, so figured I'd touch upon it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, anything else, Eric?
Thanks everyone for watching. Hope you all have a good night. See you on Thursday, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Listen, man, I love Portland. If you hate Portland, that's tough. But I love my city, warts and all. That's why I love the Blazers as well. So we're going to keep on rolling on and rocking here. Shout to... Go ahead.
I just want to say, like, you know, people were calling me out or whatever, including people saying, go to these places at night or whatever. And, you know, I talk to my wife about stuff I see, things like that. Mm-hmm. I wanted to show her some of the worst areas of town, and I was prepared to see some stuff with her. And I'm telling you, Tori, I drove around, walked around, like I couldn't find any. Like where did they all go? Like I don't understand what happened. If you were in Portland at all this weekend, you're probably being like, I know, right? And then today at work, it wasn't nearly as bad as it normally is. So I don't know if someone's doing something or what, but like it did seem like something happened to where it is someone's cleaning them up or moving them somewhere over the weekend, because like I said, we went like bar hopping and stayed at a hotel, and we were downtown Saturday and Sunday. It was super clean, super nice. Like I don't really, I wasn't even expecting that. And I'm like trying to explain to my wife that it's not like this. And she's like, what the hell are you talking about? Like there's no one around here. And it's pretty crazy, but yeah.
Yeah.
So it showed that it's not as bad as people say. And that was exactly the point of my Twitter post, was that yes, there are issues that cities have to deal with, especially big cities. But that doesn't mean that every city that has a crime committed in it, or homeless people, or drug use needs to have the military or the National Guard coming in here to fix something that's should be able to be fixed and left to the states to fix it. And hopefully they do get better, because I'm telling you, it was awesome to just be able to not have to worry about anything walking around at night in Portland. And yeah.
Yep. Well, I mean, honestly, props to you, because a lot of people just talk about things that they don't actually experience in the city of Portland. A lot of people go downtown. You actually did it. I mean, I've been downtown many times the past couple of years. I've walked at night in downtown Seattle a couple of times the past couple of years as well. I'm here. Like, yeah. So, I never myself felt unsafe, but listen, I get why people might feel unsafe. I get why there are problems with the city that could be dealt with in a way that benefits everybody. That's what I'm in favor of for. I'm in favor of an all-encompassing solution. All right? I think that's the humane thing. That's the thing that I care about. Now, anybody that, we got somebody in chat that just keeps telling me, you're just a liberal. These are all my own thoughts. These aren't politically skewed. Like, that's what I'm in favor for. That's my own thoughts. If you don't even want to listen because you don't believe I'm a part of your tribe, then that's your own problem to deal with. So, anyway. So that's what I have to say. It's midnight. Time to hop off the stream. But yeah, anybody that brings this conversation to the next stream, we're not going to be engaging. We're not going to let you engage about it in chat. All right, this is a one-time night for chat, and we're going to move on. Anyway, anything else, Eric?
Thanks again to everyone for watching.
Yep. Appreciate you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your night. Portland ain't that bad. That's all I have to say. Shout out Sleeper. Promo code Uprise. And yeah, let's not buy out Jeremy Grant Arrow, and hopefully we have a good season. Hopefully a lot of these optimistic predictions are right, and any pessimistic ones are wrong. That's what we're rooting for. Anyway, I'm out of here. You guys have a good rest of your night. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.